hello there, UCR fans, everyone out there in the uncensored radio universe. A bit of an intimate little special surprise for everyone today, especially if you're a fan of music. So it was just over 2 years ago, or so Facebook tells me, that I reached out to a teenage inspiration / shining light of my young pop queerness, love of everything amazing. And she actually responded. And from there, I've managed to not only speak to one of my idols, but get to know her. And she is an amazing human being. It can be only one person. And look, it feels so good to welcome back Katie Underwood to Uncensored Radio.
You're making my cheeks hurt listening to you.
Oh, look. My Facebook memories are like, do you know 2 years ago? I'm like, wait, what?
I know,
what?
Right? It's all lockdown life. I've sort of banished those 2 years, I think, from my brain, just trying to pretend they never happened. But
it has been
in the
crazy.
middle of all that, my connection with you and the whole UCR crew was just so much fun, and it gave me something different to do, and we had a laugh. And it was so enjoyable. So
and let's recap, because it's been a hot little minute, because someone got a little bit busy after lockdown, didn't they? Somebody has just had a bit of a massive, does it feel like a shift, or do you feel like the world's back to normal, or what does it feel like to be where you are at the moment? Because we're going to talk about it more.
Releasing music again. I mean, I think what I'm seeing now is actually a lot of Australian artists, and I'm sure a lot of musical artists all over the world, post-lockdown, we're all just going, right. It's a bit like having a second chance on life, or I imagine if the pandemic was kind of like a near-death experience where almost everything is taken away from you. And when you come out of that shell and go, okay, right, so what's really important to me? And so I think for me, certainly during lockdown, I remembered how much I loved fiddling around on the piano, or playing songs, or writing songs, or singing other people's songs, or just whatever I could do. And so as far as how it feels now, I kind of feel like this has just been the natural progression. As you know, we re-released the Bardot stuff in 2020 for the 20th anniversary. And then after that, Belinda and I got together and we made Cabell, even though we were still in separate states. And so then Belinda got busy with Cabell, and so that kind of just got put on pause. And I thought, well, I'm not ready to stop. I want to make more music. So and this song that I'm just releasing, Feels So Good, totally happened by accident. I know that sounds weird. So it's not like I sat down and went, right, I'm going to write the next song. But something in my life happened that triggered this song. And for those of you who have listened to it or will, it's kind of self-explanatory. It just spurned this natural urge to just kind of express it in song form. So it just felt really good to kind of get back to that organic way of writing. It's like stuff happens, you write a song. Like, that's not normally how my life rolls, but it did.
Well, it kind of must have helped. I think it helped everyone, because you were stuck at home and you were forced to kind of not only deal with your own mental shit, but your own physical shit. You're looking around going, I have all this stuff. What is this stuff? And what does this stuff mean to me? And I know that a couple of your bandmates were like, oh, I've never seen this stuff for 20 years. I'm digging through boxes and there's press clippings. And like, oh, okay, cool.
The nostalgia was huge. And even just the other week, I think someone posted the opening song of the Sydney concert, the first Bardot concert at the State Theatre. And honestly, it had been 20 years since I'd seen that, if ever. And it just brought a tear to my eye. And I think because at the time when you're in it, you're seeing it from the inside out. You don't get to ever really see yourself and what it looks like from the outside. And having, another 22 years under my belt since then, to watch that video and all of us, all 5 girls up on the stage just going, oh, we're so cute. and then to hear the screaming. Screaming teenage.
Screaming. They're all now.
The audience was hilarious.
We're all pushing 40 now, so it's like.
Or like, you know, one of my daughter's primary school teachers was a Bardot fan. So no, they're all in their 30s now and educating my children. So it's a bit of a trip, but yeah, it was really, really nice to look back on it and just
I think you guys got the credit you deserved, but like 20 years later.
Yeah.
Like, it was nice that the Arias kind of know, like, after so many years, you guys got a little shout out on the Arias, and your fans did a whole big, like, you know, hey, Bardot.
Well, I think at the time, you know, the Australian music industry has never been very kind to pop music. It's not well understood in Australia. The UK gets it and they love it. And I'm sure there are other countries that do as well. But so I think at the time, the assumption was that the music we were creating was essentially disposable and would just be forgotten in a couple of years. And yeah, the brand broke up, and I guess for a while, certainly we were. But to think now, to see that 22 years later, there's still a huge fan following for a band that isn't even around anymore. And I think it's hard to shuffle that off as just a flash in the pan. I think we really did.
It's not that far off 25 years now, is it?
Yeah, well, we're creeping up there now. So
we're creeping up there now. So you guys did some stuff together with Tiffany. I will ask. You can tell me in your own opinion.
Yeah.
How close did we get to some sort of Bardot moment before Cabell? Because we're going to talk about Cabell in a minute. But
oh, sure, yeah. Oh, look, we tried really hard to make it work. I think maybe part of the problem is because we were all still in lockdown, we couldn't actually get together in person and discuss it. But we had lots of phone calls and emails, and we were trying to figure out, well, how much is it going to cost to make this happen? Can we get funds? Like all the boring but required parts of this conversation, because none of us could afford to do it for free. And then there was just the logistical concerns. You know, 3 out of the 4 of us, parking Sophie, of course, because she was not interested, and respectfully, she's carved her own career and great for her. But the 4 of us, you know, tossed it around as best we could, but it was just in the too hard basket, I think. The fantasy and the reality just couldn't match up. So, and then, we tried to just even do some acoustic stuff with Tiffany, and that was really fun. And then she just, again, I think the reality of her, and she runs a business and she's got 6 kids, and man, it's a lot, you know. So,
it's a lot.
So, you know,
I don't know how she does it.
I have no idea. I struggle with, you know, 2 businesses and 2 kids. That's huge for me. So, yeah, it's a lot. So that's how.
As I said, 25 is coming up, and it's a very healing number. I feel like it's a good number for pop bands. Steps have had their biggest success with their 25th anniversary. S Club 7 are just getting back together for their 25th anniversary. I mean, the kids will all be older in a couple of years.
There's that. No, look, I think in the one hand, time is on our side, but then of course it means that we are all getting older as well. So
I'm manifesting it, Katie. I'm manifesting it. I'm just gonna.
Oh, look, I wouldn't rule it out. My position the whole way has been, if everyone's in and we can make it work, then, you know, I'm all in. But things are always changing for everyone, so we'll just see what happens coming up.
Things do change. Like Cabell, let's talk about how did that come about, because we didn't really get a chance. Like, we kind of we come on the show every now and then and be like, I'm doing this. I'm like, yeah, cool. We'll talk about that one day. And that one day has just never come up until now. And you were like, I was very lucky and did find out a little bit of information before the rest of the world. And I sat on it because I'm a good boy. And I was like, my inside body was screaming. But so how did you guys go, you know what? Let's do this. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, well, we did. But when the sort of Bardot reunion dream died off, I think we took about 6 months where we were all kind of licking our wounds. And, you know, Belinda and I were available and keen. We didn't have the challenges that the other 2 girls did. So we kind of just let it sit. And then I can't remember exactly how or who called who, probably involved Joe, our good friend, who's always been kind of behind the project the whole way along. And Belinda and I
God
got
bless you, Joe, by the way. God bless Joe Bannock.
Well, Belinda and I got
God
talking
bless
and we
Joe.
were like, oh, is it weird if we do a duo? Like, what will people think? And I think my words probably were along the lines of, give it what anyone else thinks. If you want to do it, babe, I'm ready to do it with you. Like, hello, if you can't get to over 40 and stop caring what people think about you, then, you know, what's the point? So that was really it. It's like, well, what have we got to lose? A bit of time, a bit of money, you know, we'll put some money in, we'll see what happens. And that was it. And so we released the first track and there was enough support and excitement and that was fun. And then we got to number 2 and yeah, it was just, the intent was to continue doing it, but then life got busy and then Belinda got busy with her.
Life happens. Yeah. But
yeah,
was it refreshing to work with Belinda, just Belinda, as opposed to like, you know, a major label and other girls and it's like, oh, you and me, we can do this. This is how we do.
Really nice because in the Bardot songs, of course, all 5 girls had to be featured, and that was part of how the Bardot sound worked. But as a result, you didn't often hear individual voices coming out. And I really enjoyed just hearing the tone and the feel of Belinda and my voices together. I think we're different enough, but also complementary. So yeah, it was a real pleasure. It was a shame we never actually got in the same recording studio. I was hoping to do that. But yeah, I think considering we were never in the same place when we were recording was really cool. But, you know, we were constantly on the phone and message and bouncing back ideas. So yeah, it was very much a collaboration.
For you know, for people that came from reality TV back, like it must be good to have the power, especially now that you're back solo again. The power, you know, but you know what I mean. They're not going. You have to record this single. Like you have to record this single, and you know we're gonna give you this much money, but not that much money because that's this. And you're like, okay, well I can release what I want to do as opposed to, you know, a pre-selected. Yeah.
There's certainly pros and cons of being independent, which I think is the word.
Of course.
Yeah. There's no power.
There's no power.
Yeah, being an independent artist, yeah, absolutely. The pros are there are no checks and balances on what I'm doing. I can write my own stuff. I can sing someone else's stuff. I can do a country album. I can choose to do whatever I want to do. But the cons are that I don't have major funding. Exactly. I don't have some sugar daddy or sugar mama girlfriend in the back wings that's just like throwing me tens of thousands of dollars. So it is literally me working my ass off, and every spare cent that I have after feeding my kids and clothing them in school and everything else, it's like, right, whatever I've got left over, I'm going to reinvest in my project. Yeah, so it's a big undertaking, but for me, I believe in what I'm doing. And thankfully, a lot of the other people that I've got to work with me on this project believed in it too. So that's how we got to where we're at.
Do you think that because of how much of your life it takes up, that it makes you appreciate the highs a little bit more and the lows a little bit more? Like you understand it as opposed to like these kids that'll win a reality show, release an album, and then go, oh, where's my career? Like you have to see the highs and lows. You see the whole project, and you know how much it costs to, you know, put something out and make a video, which we'll talk more about later because someone's multitasking these days.
I know, right?
Do you feel like as an independent artist, you have to be more invested in what the product is and how much time you're going to give it in your life? I mean, it can take over your life, but as you said, you have a family that you need to take care of and businesses and da-da-da. I don't know how you juggle it, but I'll let you speak more on that.
Yeah. So where do I start? Yeah, look, I think the difference coming into this project now as opposed to when I was young is I'm not doing it to prove anything. And I also have more realistic expectations of what's possible. Also, I have a whole other career in business that isn't going away. So I'm still doing sound healing. I still run meditation events. I still work as a massage therapist. I'm still using that whole skill set because that's my bread and butter. So the advantage is that I can just enjoy the process, from making the music to making the videos to working with other artists to the excited moment where you think, oh my God, is anyone going to buy the song? And maybe I'll get a chart position, maybe I won't. But to understand that the public's response to whatever I put out doesn't mean that it's good or bad or right or wrong. It's nice if people like what you do, but I'm also wise enough to understand that not everything I put out is going to be like, oh, that's amazing, you know. So I'm just as capable of writing a crap song as I am writing a good song. And a lot of it is just roll the dice and you go, well, I don't know how this is going to go, but fingers crossed people like it. And that's it. But, you know, for me personally, my sense of self-esteem is not attached to that product.
Yeah.
It's like, if it goes well, great. I'm so excited and so happy. But if it doesn't go well, it's still a business. It's like if you're in a retail store and you go, am I going to sell yellow jars or orange jars? If the orange jars sell more and the yellows don't, you don't go, bad yellow jar, you're like, it's just the market that we're in. So it's the same for me. If one song grabs and another one doesn't, I go, okay, cool. Well, that went all right, but not as well as I'd hoped. Move on to the next one. And so I think emotionally I'm a lot more robust. Whereas the younger artists that are, you know, at the beginning of their career, every single release, their whole sense of self is invested in it. So I'm totally passionately into it, but then I'm like that with everything I do. So that's kind of no different. As to how I do it, yeah, I probably work 80 hours a week instead of the average 40 because I'm literally running 2 businesses now. So, yeah, trying to find time to cuddle my kids and go to Woolies and get the groceries and stuff like that needs to happen. It's a little harder, but you know, you just got to do it, you know. My kids haven't starved yet and they have clean clothes every day. So I'm like, okay, that's enough. Everything else is negotiable.
That is a win. That is a win. But speaking of jars, you've had a lot of jars. In your time, you had a lot of different flavors in your jars. So many jars. It's nice to see you on social media rediscovering some of these old jars for people that may not have seen these jars before. Lots of your features and some stuff you did before Bardot and stuff like that. Is it nice to educate the world that you're like, I didn't just pop out of a vacuum. I have a body of work.
I know. And I think I didn't even realize how much I'd done until I started updating my, you know, Linktree profile. I'm like, man, I've done a lot in the last 20 years. But a lot of what I've done hasn't been mainstream. So the average person out there, you know, just kind of remembers, oh, Katie Underwood, redhead from Bardot. Oh, I like that Disco Montego song. And then as far as they're concerned, I just vanished. Because I've never courted celebrity and I wasn't interested in staying in the public eye. I just kind of quietly went along and occasionally recorded all of these songs and projects and albums and things that I wanted to do. But yeah, now it's nice to kind of dig them all out of the archive. And as I said to you off cam just before we logged on, I've just got a new Mac. So part of that process was I had to dig out all the old files on my terribly sad, dying Mac and discovered all of these old photos I'd completely forgotten about. So, yeah, in this whole musical resurgence, there's been this sort of reminding myself and sharing all these old memories with people and showing them images that have never been seen before and that I certainly haven't looked at for like 10 years. So, yeah, there's been just a lot of genuine fun and nostalgic joy in this whole project for me.
So we'll talk about probably one of your funnest jars. Your solo baby is of legal age and is an adult these days. Beautiful's getting a re-release. You're like, wait, who are we talking about now? Where are we going with this question?
Oh, man.
She's
beautiful
big.
Key to the house. The youngsters out there don't know what that means. But
I know, right? It was like, get that key.
Back in my day, 21, you were considered an adult. So after this track, where I've been working hard on doing a new version of Beautiful. I actually wasn't able to get the original version to re-release it. Otherwise, I possibly could have just done that. So the only way around it is I had to re-record my own version. So I'm working with my producer, Rob, and we've been trying to stay as true as we can to the original version, because I know people have a lot of love for that, but just infuse a subtle flavour of newness and nowness. So I think we're like one more session away from totally getting the final mix together, and then we'll start getting some new remixes. So I'm hoping like April, May, but at this point it's too early to call a date on it. But yeah, the 21st anniversary version of Beautiful is coming. So yeah, Mama's been hard at work in the studio.
That's so exciting. I think especially for the fan base, all of these milestones, you can't help but go back to where you were at that time in your life. And I remember Beautiful coming out. I remember very embarrassingly being at a pub one night and there was karaoke night. I was like, yes, this is happening. And I picked Beautiful. And it was like, oh, whatever. I was like, right, yeah, you wait. And then by the end, they were like, yeah, I smashed it, babe. You would have been proud. I was like, yeah. But it was the time before, mobile phones and mobile cameras and stuff.
No evidence.
No evidence. I have a very grainy photo of me on stage with Tiffany when she came to Newcastle for a gig, singing my little heart out with her. But there is no evidence of the Beautiful domination. But that was such a great time in Australian music too, especially for Australian pop music. And it's nice, as you said, to see these. I guess what would you call it? We will say
retro artists. So you're looking for a nice word to say,
retro artists
out of the closet.
I know, we're all coming out. But
like,
one last dance.
That I'm aware of, people that have released that I respect and admire. So Sister to Sister have gotten back and they've released new music.
So good.
And your Doko's just released some new music with Bachelor Girl.
Girl.
Road Traders just dropped a fresh track. Like a lot has happened this month in Australian music. And I think I think the rule for anything retro is if it's 20 years old, it comes back around. So a bit like fashion, I think music is moving.
I was about to say that.
In the same way that all the artists that were kind of hot in the spot, 20 years ago are coming out of the woodwork. So, yeah, I'm not alone in my revival of my place in the music business, and it's so great to see, particularly other women, just putting themselves out there, and we're all taking a chance. We don't know how things are going to go, but just to have the courage to do it anyway, I think, I will always admire anyone who's willing to do that.
100%, and especially for Aussie pop females, I can't have enough of you. Everyone just release something and it'll be great. We'll have a big party. It'll be amazing. We'll live our lives and just bop on. It's amazing times. It's very therapeutic to see, like, in your new release schedule on Spotify, Sister to Sister, Road Traders. Katie
I know, right?
Living my life. I'm like, my teenager years are validated, because you must, because you've got to think back in the day, this is why our parents loved certain acts for their entire life, because some of them didn't go away. No. But now that we, the elder millennials, I will call us, are in control.
I'm a Gen Xer, I think, technically.
I know. You're a Gen Xer. I'm an elder millennial.
Elder millennials, yes, okay.
We are kind of the adults of the world now, so we can pick and choose the things that we loved and go, it's time for them to come back, and we will support them. And I'm glad that it's happening for especially Australian pop females, because you guys do not get enough credit. But credit where credit is due, because you have taken the reins and you are dominating with your new single. Tell us all. But you are going, all right, this is it, happening.
Do you know what I'm
going
doing?
to put it behind this
I'm whoring myself on social media. That's what I'm doing.
Yes. And that's why we love you, Katie. That's why we love you, because you'll talk to us about it.
Oh, man. It's fun, though.
But as you said, feels so good. Tell us, give us a little bit more about it, because some people may not have heard it yet.
The real life story. So the stories, the theme of this song is basically, and look, anyone perhaps over the age of 40 or even 35, maybe you've been in a relationship, gotten divorced, broken up, and you've hit that point where you've basically just given up on the thought that you'll ever meet anyone who's ever going to make your heart go pitter-patter again. And then suddenly someone just appears and you're like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that. And that's kind of what happened to me. And I just, all of a sudden, I met this person and I thought, oh my God, I feel like a teenager again, like that kind of thing. Now, as it happened, that didn't progress much further than a few weeks, but the feeling was so real. And it was in that kind of sweet pocket that I got inspired to write this song. And, because I'm 47 now. So, when women in particular get to my age, or even men, and you just think, it's not going to happen now, and a lot of people do give up, but it's so inspiring when you find someone, and whether it's an intimate someone or just a new bestie, and you're like, oh man, I really like you, so that was kind of the spirit of the song that I wanted to capture and relay. It's not just about falling in love. It could be about maybe you get pregnant after giving up and you tried for 5 years and suddenly your baby appears. Like, wow, I didn't expect that to happen. This is so cool. I think my bestie Nellie described it as, when I said, what does the song feel like for you? She said, it sounds like hope. And I thought that just really gave me tingles when she said that. And I thought, yeah, that's really, really cool. And particularly coming out of COVID and all the rubbish that went on during that time. And we won't talk about all that, but it was important to me to bring something out that just felt light and fun. But
that's exactly right.
Real. Yeah.
Yeah. When I first heard it, it has enough of that throwback sound that you go, oh, okay, this is something in the background is going, I register with this. Something, remember being young and remember being like, the world was your oyster and anything could happen, and it wasn't about bills and you have to do this and you have to do that, and it was just about feeling good and chasing those feelings and acknowledging those feelings. And sometimes you just need to shut up and dance, really, don't you? You just need to turn everything off and go, time for a bop, babe. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, I think there's enough stress and drama in the world, and for me, music is about lifting people out of that. There are other artists, like the whole country music scene is about delving into the blues and difficult feelings, and that music has its place for that. But for me, pop music and dance music has always been about lifting the vibe and feeling better. So that's always where my focus is.
And you are chief, head bottle washer and everything at Katie Underwood Industries. at Katie Underwood Industries. And
literally everything else.
You've literally just discovered a love for, I guess, is it love? I guess it's an infatuation and an interest, and you start to go, I actually don't mind doing this. Visuals and stuff like that now. You're the girl.
So when you're an independent artist, you have to get creative about, I don't have $5,000 to spend on a film clip, and even saying $5,000 for a clip is pretty conservative. And I thought, how? But I feel like I needed a clip. And so anyway, I just did what any normal thinking person would do and Googled how to make an affordable film clip. And I found that all of a sudden there were all these incredible websites with like pro shot footage of almost every subject imaginable. So I quickly subscribed and went, kind of thought, all right, I'll just join up and this will be like a make a video site. Anyway, I did that. And then it wasn't that. It was just all the content. And I'm like, I still don't know how to make a film clip, and this isn't going to do it for me. So then I Googled. This is literally how I got on this journey, right?
This is how we love it.
Easiest programs to use to make a clip. And I got two options. I got iMovie, which is free for me on my iMac, and then something else that was going to be $300. I'm like, I'll go with the iMovie option. Thank you. And kind of just fell into doing it. I'm like, surely it can't be that hard. And apparently it's not. So, I mean, it's time consuming because I pay special attention to, you've got to get the speed of each clip right. And then there's a whole process in it, which I won't bore you with.
Transitions and timing and all the stuff.
Filter on it and this and that. So, it is consuming, but I know that the end result. I want to get to that point where I'm really happy with it. So to be quite fair, the very first film clip that I did for this Feel So Good project wasn't my best work because it was literally my first attempt at it. But I thought, you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be good enough. There just has to be enough going on that people can watch it and not get bored. And then the second one, I got a little better, and the third one, a little better. And then the last clip that I made was actually for the third remix, so the Yolk remix, which comes out, well, depending when you air this, comes out February 24th. And that one, I think I got right in the sweet spot. But having said that, my clip for the Anthony Papa, Jamie Stevens remix is pretty cool as well. Like, it's kind of like a VJ. You know how they play on the big screens when you're at like a dance party and they have like these visuals playing behind the DJ? Like the whole clip's like that. So that was really fun to make. I'm like, what will the kiddies want to look at when they're having a good time at home and got the TV on? I'm like, yes.
Bless. We're having our own dance parties in our lounge rooms.
Totally spin their head. So, yeah, look, I've had a lot of fun with it. And, yeah, I didn't hemorrhage like 10 grand making these 4 clips. So it just takes time, which I have.
Well, sometimes we have times.
Yeah.
Debatable. And, yeah, as you said, there is a whole rollout plan. There's more remixes. There's videos and all this kind of stuff coming.
Oh, look, I haven't even told you what's happened after Beautiful. I would make your head spin, to be honest. So, yeah, this remix has had 3 versions, one of which comes out tomorrow. We've got another one coming out not till early March. There's another new full vocal remix of the Boogie Nights dub that's a work in progress, apparently. And we're planning to do an acoustic version. So just with this one song, there's still a lot to come out of it. And then there'll be Beautiful. And then after that, there's 2 other projects that I already have in the works. And one of them's already been recorded. The other one I'm yet to get in the studio for. So I will be keeping myself and all of you quite busy for the rest of the year. But yeah, it's just infused such a sense of creative joy into my life. And that's really what it's about for me.
That is amazing. I think that everyone will be very happy to know that, you know, Katie we'll have little surprises popping up.
Come back, bitches!
In our Spotify feeds going off like, oh, an acoustic version. Oh, but that's great that you have, you know, that you have the ability to spend that much time on one song and go, you know what, here's a different version of it. Here's this, here's that. And people will grab what they want to grab. Like you said, they'll go, oh, some people love acoustic versions. Some people are all about that life. And you're like,
see, the thing is, if a song is good, not everyone, I mean, even though I love dance music, I fully get that not everybody does. But I believe in the song, and I think that if the song is good enough, it'll translate in any medium. And we saw that with Beautiful back in the day when we released it. It was doing well in the clubs, but it wasn't until we did the live performance of it on the panel, which was, kind of acousticy, but, you know, was a live band performance, that then all of a sudden it got the attention of the mass population, and then Beautiful technically became a hit. So it was only because of that version, I think, that it really crossed over into the mainstream. Now, I'm not suggesting that Feel So Good will follow the same trajectory by any means, but I think for me it's important to present the song in as many different ways as I'm capable of. And then, as you say, people pick and choose. Oh, not hot on that version, but I love that one. And it's like, well, here's the platter, you know, choose what you want. So I'll keep taking that approach with it, I think.
I think it's great. It's fantastic, and it is. I am so happy for you that you are happy to release this music and feel inspired, and because it's been a journey, it's been a ride. You know, like over the last couple of years for everyone, it's been a ride about what you want to do and where you want to spend your time and how much time you want to spend on things. But it's always nice to rediscover a love for something and to go, you know what, let's do this again. Let's give it another red hot go and put it out there and see what you can do. So if you have not, people, if you have not Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you do, Katie's new work Feels So Good, you need to do it right Right now, there is no excuse because she has had a little bit of a tell the people about our debut. Tell the people what happened. Who were you in company with on the dance charts? Come on.
Oh, right. Well, so
It was a hot moment. Come
the
on.
charts are really. Oh, look, to put it in perspective, the iTunes charts are updated every hour and every day. So it's really hard. It's kind of easy to get in, but it's not easy to get in.
Not easy to stay.
Certainly not easy to stay in. But yes, we did debut technically at number 3 on the iTunes dance chart on the day of release. And above me were David Guetta and Tiesto with their releases, which of course they've got millions and squillions of followers, and they just stay on in there in the charts because they're such a huge brand. But I was happy just to be there for a couple of days before watching slip out of the charts.
But again, you don't have a major label going, yes, let's pump this song every 5 seconds. That is, I was like, you go, girl, you get up there. Like David Guetta. Have a look. Like, come check out Katie Underwood, David. She'd love to work with you.
Not very much, but look, I think it was just wonderful to see the people power is still there. You know, yes, of course, I've invested some money in some marketing, but most of it has been organic, which is the people that I know online, and then I guess if people discover it through some other channels accidentally. So for me, everybody who shares or likes or posts it makes a huge difference, and we saw that on the debut. So
we love to be an accidental channel for discovery. That's kind of our brand. So please happily accidentally discover the lovely Katie Underwood. She has a lot more to offer as she's just promised. So if you want to check out her back catalogue, she is on all the major streamies because that's what you got to do these days. You got to be in it to win it. And any updates that the lovely Katie has, I will share with you all. Katie, it has been such a pleasure to catch up with you. I wish you nothing but the best. You are a beautiful light in the world of Australian pop music, pop and dance music. And I just, every time you put a release out, I go, ooh, it gives you a little ooh. So hopefully there's many more oohs to come for us all. And much success, much love, and all that kind of stuff. And, keep us posted.
Thank you. I will. I'll update you when Beautiful gets close and when my bits come out. So
awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, no worries. Make sure you're following Katie Underwood on social media as well. Otherwise, we'll see you very, very soon again on Uncensored Radio. Thanks for joining us. Good night.